program, yeah.
Na number one.
Housing development program, yeah.
Na number one.
Na number one for Nigeria.
Na number one.
Housing development program, yeah.
Na number one.
For estate developers, yeah.
Na number one.
The place to showcase what you've got here.
Na number one.
Encyclopedia on housing matter.
Na number one.
Housing development program, yeah.
Na number one.
Housing development program.
Welcome on board, Nigerians. I am Flora Anne, and this is your #1 housing TV program, Housing Development, your eye-opener to housing information in Nigeria. Housing is one basic need of man that cannot be neglected. It's the key driver of social and economic development. On housing development, we are poised to promoting the provision of affordable housing in Nigeria. Our drive and passion is to ensure that Nigerians have access to affordable housing by raising housing needs awareness to the government and other relevant authorities. So, if this is your first time of watching, you're right on track because today's episode promises to be very informative, educative, as well as interesting. You can afford to miss it. I'll be right back after the break.
Housing Development Program, your usual encyclopedia on housing matters.
Welcome back. Housing provision requires huge capital outlay, which is often beyond the capacity of the median income and low income earners. A major area of concern has been mortgage financing, which is often been fingered as one of the most formidable constraints in the housing sector. In this special report, our reporter takes a look at housing finance, the challenges and the way forward.
Housing delivery systems in Nigeria is a combination of many interrelated components which include land, infrastructure, building materials, policies, building regulations, and more importantly, the finance component. Financing in housing delivery is very important because of the huge financial requirements for housing production. It is a well-established fact that mortgage is a fundamental requirement for housing delivery the world over. There is no developed part of the world where people are said to pay cash for housing. It is for the same reason that the National Housing Fund was established to carry along income-earning Nigerians in their dream of home ownership as a reality. The federal government of Nigeria in 1991 launched a national housing policy to serve as a palliative measure to ensuring better housing for Nigerians. The goal of the national housing policy is to ensure that all Nigerians own or have access to decent housing and accommodation at affordable cost. The Nigerian National Housing Fund Decree number 3 of 1992 is an instrument formulated to give leverage to housing delivery. It was set basically as a legal reaffirmation of vital aspects of the national housing policy with the primary purpose of supporting it to achieve its ultimate goal to ensure that all Nigerians have access to decent housing accommodation at affordable cost by ensuring continuous flow of long-term fund for housing development and providing affordable loans for income housing.
It's the high interest cost, averaging 20%. 2018, 20, 25, it's always somewhere in that range, but it's double digit and it's extremely high. For us to see a fundamental movement downwards, the current structure of our economy has to change. The risk-free interest rate has to come down to single digits.
Housing provision requires huge capital outlay, which is often beyond the capacity of the medium income and low income groups. A major area of concern has been mortgage financing, which has often been fingered as one of the most formidable constraints in the housing sector. In other countries, housing is indeed the right of citizens. The common practice in other climes where housing provisions for the populace is seen as imperative is that most of the houses are secured through mortgage facilities.
The mortgage rate, as has been said as well, if the house is not affordable, but the interest rate is low enough and the tenure long enough, and I can afford to pay from my monthly salary, then the mortgage makes it affordable for me to buy if I cannot buy outright. Now we are hit, like someone said, with double whammy. First, the house prices are high. Second, the interest rates are also high. How then do we make houses affordable?
In advanced economies, the common approach to owning a property is through a mortgage arrangement. In fact, most cases, outright payment of cash to purchase a property raises suspicion. Over there, long-term loans are extended to the citizens by banks with which they pay for the house. The loans are long-term in nature, thereby shielding the citizens from the hardship of repaying. The Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, FMBN, is the sole secondary mortgage institution in the country, and the bank is empowered by the FMBN Act 1993 to assure adequate liquidity in the Nigerian mortgage security. According to Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, out of the 4 million registered contributors to the National Housing Fund, only 60,000 or 1.5% of the total have been able to access mortgage loans. According to the bank, this small number is due to the many constraints to housing finance in Nigeria. The main function of FMBN is to support the primary mortgage market with the liquidity and financial capacity to provide affordable mortgage financing in the market. But liquidity risk and the dearth of long-term funding sources are some of the main impediments to accessing mortgage loan facilities of longer tenure and optimal interest rates by Nigerians, and a major problem facing the primary mortgage institutions today.
US, UK, Canada, France, or wherever, where have we had mortgages with double digits? Where? We strongly believe that if they are truly mortgages, they should be single digits. Otherwise, Nigerians, by way of their income, cannot afford this.
To help meet the housing needs of low to middle income citizens, a system was recently developed for providing funding to mortgage institutions that can on-lend to borrowers and mortgage goers at interest rates considerably lower than market rates. The federal government, through the Ministry of Finance in collaboration with the International Finance Corporation, IFC, and the Mortgage Banking Association of Nigeria, MBAN, established a liquidity facility institution, the Nigerian Mortgage Refinance Company, NMRC. NMRC, in very simple terms, will provide funds to the commercial banks and to the primary mortgage institutions at very cheap rates so that they may in turn provide residential mortgage facilities to borrowers at relatively cheaper rates.
Interest rates at near 20% would not make affordability happen in this nation. We need to come to single digits or very early double digits for us to achieve affordability.
Effectively, the refinancing arrangements will be structured in a way that the NMRC will issue bonds in the capital market for the purpose of raising funds to refinance the mortgage created by the PMIs or CBs. The bonds issued by the NMRC in this regard will be secured by the proceeds of these mortgage loans. One major problem inhibiting the development of the mortgage market is the Land Use Act. Particularly, its rigid insists that the procedures and costs of the registration must be fully complied to perfect a mortgage transaction. This is a serious impediment to the mortgage and general housing development.
As a developer, the greatest obstacle to real estate development and housing is the availability of good titled land. Because there are still issues. Because today, you cannot be very sure at any point in the value chain that you have indivisible title. And that is a problem. Because if you don't have the critical stakeholders, the financier will not lend to you unless it's sure that the title is indivisible. The off-taker will not buy unless it's sure that the title is indivisible.
One question that needs to be addressed is which way forward for solving finance problems for both the estate developers and the home seekers.
Housing Development Program is the only program that gives you the best information on housing. Are you an estate developer, home interior stakeholder, distributor or manufacturer of building materials, furniture company, Housing Development Program is the right platform to showcase what you've got.
My name is Amachi Chinaiwayo. I'm the MD of Songold Estate Limited. I endorse this housing development program. This is a program that enables the viewers to have access to good information on real estate here in Abuja and across the country. Please keep watching.
Welcome back. If you just tuned in, the program is Housing Development, the only TV program that gives you the best information on housing in Nigeria. I'll be handing over to Nkechi Ndukwe to let us feel the pros of some professionals on housing matters today.
Nigeria, like other developing countries, has a mortgage system, but is waiting for her citizens to fully adapt to a loan-based home ownership plan. That is why Housing Development Program is here to feel the pulse of how some Nigerians feel on the constraints of the Nigerian mortgage system. We want to know, what is wrong with the mortgage system?
You look at the available mortgage facilities. They are limited in scope. They are concentrated, honestly, I would say basically Lagos, Abuja, probably two or three other cities where you can see their impact, and but the problem is bigger.
I think what is wrong with it is the high interest rate and the short-term repayment period. For mortgage to be effective, it has to be served between 20 and 30 years, and the interest rate has to be below market rate. In the United States, mortgages are between 2 to 4%, but here it is as competitive as the open market interest, which is not good enough.
The mortgage system in Nigeria was expected to be modeled along the existing mortgage systems in the UK or the United States. Unfortunately, right from inception in Nigeria, there have been gross undercapitalization of the institutions that were responsible for mortgage. And with undercapitalization, there's very little that any institution could do.
The system is outdated, it needs to be reviewed, but most importantly, the political will to implement.
If the government is sincere through their monetary policy, which the central bank prepares for the country, they should address the problem there. The moment they get that problem solved, interest rate problem solved as far as mortgages are concerned, then you find that this problem will be solved quickly.
We need to get the capital required voluntarily. The financial institutions, the banks and the rest of them will have to make contributions. The pension funds in the country will have to contribute to this, and also the private sector will mobilize funds from around the world. There's money available around the world to input into this. If you empower the sector, there's a lot of benefit, because the sector itself can generate a whole lot of income, can provide a whole lot of employment, can create a lot of jobs, So therefore, it is a sector that should be encouraged and should be capitalized in the country.
There you have it. The consensus from dignitaries to everyday Nigerians regarding the mortgage system. The first step is for banks to execute the plan already in existence and should do a test run with the lower income home seekers at a single-digit rate. I hope this was informative to you as it was for me. Reporting for Housing Development Program, Nkechi Ndukwe.
Housing Development Program, your usual encyclopedia on housing matters.
Welcome back. The program is still Housing Development, and I am here to fulfill the promise I made last week on this program. I did say that one of the beneficiaries of the Platinum Fast Track Mortgage will be here with us today. So what's the name?
Okay, my name is Shegun Akinjeji.
And where do you work?
I'm into private practice at the moment, but I used to work with the British Council, and I've worked on a couple of World Bank projects.
I understand you're a beneficiary of the Platinum Fast Track Mortgage. Is that true?
Yes, very true.
So how did you really get your house in 48 hours?
Yes, I did get my house in 48 hours. I'm a beneficiary of the 48 hours Fast Track Platinum Bank scheme. Initially, I thought it was a joke, because I was also a beneficiary of a housing fund in 2010 or 2009. That process took 2 years. It took 2 long years, even after I've paid the equity at the time. And when I heard about this scheme and the fact that it's only going to take 48 hours, I thought this is not possible. But then I decided to give it a try, because I am an ardent believer in Platinum Bank, because I've done a scheme with them before in 2010, just like I've said. So I keyed into the program, and as soon as I completed the process, which is just a simple process of completing forms, and then thereafter I made payment of my equity fund, which I think is about 10% or thereabout, depending on the housing type that you want. And then in 48 hours I got the keys to the house. That's it.
You've heard it all from Mr. Segun Akinjeji, one of the beneficiaries of the Platinum Fast Track Mortgage. He said he got the keys to his house in just 48 hours. So I would say, what are you waiting for? You don't have to let this golden opportunity pass you by. You just have to call Platinum Fast Track Mortgage contact numbers now for you to have your own house in 48 hours. Join me after the break.
You be tenants wey don tire to pay rent to landlord and you wan own your own house? The opportunity don come o. Platinum Mortgage Bank, the ogbonge mortgage bank for we country Naija, don bring one correct product wey be Platinum Fast Track Mortgage. Dey very easy and convenient for everybody. You go get your own house within 48 hours when you register and meet the requirements. The good news be say we go spread the way wey you go take pay back the money reach 25 years with chickily interest rates. Na limited number of houses na in dey o. Waka now enter any Platinum Mortgage Bank branches wey dey everywhere for Naija and register to own your own house. For more information, Giringiri Ijoma for 080-367 88618, or if you call caller for 080-382-04933. Platinum Mortgage Bank Limited, we go change your hope to home.
You're still watching Housing Development. When you become a tenant, you automatically take on certain responsibilities. What are these responsibilities? Get to know on Housing Tips.
Tenant responsibilities. Pay your bills and service charges. Most tenants have to pay their own bills for electricity, water, and your tenancy agreement will say whether you are responsible for paying the bills or not. If you don't pay them, the services could be cut off and you may have to pay to be reconnected. You may also have to pay service charges for things like communal cleaning or gardening. As a tenant, you are responsible for looking after internal decorations and equipment, reporting any repairs needed or other problems that you are aware of, minor maintenance such as checking if smoke alarms are working and changing light bulbs, repairing or replacing anything you have broken or damaged. Keep receipts for this in case there's any dispute at the end of your tenancy. Disposing of your rubbish properly. Sticking to the terms in your tenancy agreement regarding pets, parking, and gardening. Be a good tenant and neighbor. Try not to upset or annoy your neighbors by behaving in an antisocial way or allowing anyone in your household to do so. Antisocial behavior can include things like having music or the TV on too loud, not keeping pets under control, allowing your children to be a nuisance, leaving rubbish piled up everywhere, making lots of noise outside your home or when you come in, using the house for illegal activities such as drug dealing. Be responsible for your household and visitors.
thing you've got to know is that when it comes to renting, both you and your landlord share a burden of responsibilities in ensuring that the tenancy runs smoothly. But as a tenant, you must live up to your responsibilities. Join me after the break.
Rock of Ages Properties Limited is developing unique and affordable 100,000 housing units through United Workers Housing Scheme in collaboration with Trade Union Congress across all the 36 states of the Federation, starting from the Federal Capital Territory. The project has commenced with 10,000 housing units in Rock City Airport Road and Rock City Day. The housing types include 2 and 3 bedroom apartments in a block, 2 and 3 terrace bungalow, 3 and 4 bedroom terrace duplex, 4 bedroom semi-detached duplex, 4 bedroom detached duplex and 5 bedroom fully detached duplex, built with state-of-the-art facilities, centralized water supply system, tarred roads, walkways and drainages, round-the-clock power supply, ample parking spaces, street lights, mega shopping mall with multifunctional facilities, recreational facilities and lots more. Payment for subscribers is spread over a period of 20 years. For inquiries or application process, please visit www.roaproperties.com or call 0802-633-3633, 0802-035-0170 or 0805-584-1099. Rock City, building affordable homes across Nigerian cities.
You're still watching Housing Development, the authoritative source of housing information. The Nigerian Institute of Town Planners FCT chapter had your 2015 Town Planners Week recently with a theme, Urban and Regional Planning Practice in the Era of Change. Here are the sights and sounds.
Housing Development Program, your usual encyclopedia on housing matters.
The Nigerian Institute of Town Planners FCT chapter celebrated 2015 Town Planners Week in a grand style with the theme Urban and Regional Planning Practice in the Era of Change at Nigerian Air Force Conference Center, Abuja. The event brought together town planners from within and outside Abuja. Papers were presented, among which are Urban and Regional Planning as a Veritable Tool for Delivering Democratic Dividend by Dr. Kingsley Oboy, Center for Environmental Management and Control, University of Nigeria, Enugu campus. The Imperative of Advocacy Planning in Acquisition and Development of Land in the FCT by Town Planner Omar Shuaibu, and the Role of Urban and Regional Planning as Tool for Good Urban Governance by Town Planner Yahaya Usuf, former Director, Department of Development Control. The event was an educative and interactive one, as crucial questions about urban and regional planning practice were given answers to by the panelists. At the end of the two-day event, suggestions, recommendations and resolutions were made on the possible ways of bridging the housing deficit gap in the country, and how urban planning as a dispensable public function which aims to guide urban growth can serve in the delivery of the dividends of democracy, especially in the era of change.
Housing Development Program is the only program that gives you the best information on housing. Are you an estate developer, home interior stakeholder, distributor or manufacturer of building materials, furniture company? Housing Development Program is the right platform to showcase what you've got.
Yes. On the second day of the event, the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners FCT chapter also presented Feseda Communications Limited an award of the most outstanding communication outfit that promotes the practice of town planning in the FCT. Congratulations, Feseda Communications. I'll be back after the break.
To have housing news at your fingertips, download Housing News mobile app from Google Play Store. Friend us on Facebook. If you want to watch today's program again and many others via YouTube, just go to Housing TV Online. Do not forget to subscribe to our newsletter at www.housingnews.org.ng for up-to-date news on housing.
Alright, you can watch this episode again and many others via YouTube on Housing TV Online. Don't forget to get a house with a flexible payment plan. Rock City Workers Housing Estate is still open for more subscribers. Or do you need an office space or banking hall? Then Sungold Estate is just the right company for you to call. If you need a genuine land to buy to build your own house with your own design, don't hesitate to call Urban Shelters Limited. Keep a date next Tuesday. As always, believe in Nigeria. Bye-bye.
Housing Development Program, yeah. Number one. Housing Development Program, yeah. Number one. Number one for